What's going on there, YouTube? Tony and Jill, I know it's been a little while since we made a video. We've come to an end of our truck adventure for the moment, and basically had to move back into Boomer after being gone for a couple months. So that's been an odyssey as well. Also, we've made it back to Central Ohio area where we're from. It's nice to be back here and visit, friends and family, but we couldn't have come back at the worst time. It is probably one of the coldest snaps I can remember in Ohio for the last several years. We originally didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal to be back here. But since we've been back here, we've hit temperatures in the lows of, about 2 degrees? And then the wind chill factor negatives. I don't know exactly what they were. I'll tell you it was cold. Very, very cold. Anyhow, so we're going to talk about some forms of heat to stay warm if you're RVing in the winter and you're crazy like us. And the rest of people who want to live full time. That have no choice but to stay in a colder climate. For work or something like that. Or you're just silly. You want to stay in the cold. I don't know why, but you might. Who cares? That's you. No judgments here. Me and her, and not so much. We like the warmer area, and we'd rather be there. Anyway, so we're going to talk about the heat sources here. One good thing to have is definitely a functioning furnace. Now here in Boomer, we have two. We have one in the front for the front part of the coach, and then we also have one for the rear that heats the bedroom and the restroom of Boomer. That's a little overkill because the one in our living room and the front part of the coach will actually warm up this entire coach quite toasty, to the point where it will run you out of here. I wish ours was more like some of the more efficient furnaces out there that actually go on and off. Ours has one setting. It's either on or off. But you can adjust the temperature to a little cooler and stuff like that. But you're constantly running a fan. You're constantly burning the propane. So it's not real fuel efficient. You're kind of spending money on propane that you don't really need to do if you can use some other sources of heat, which we recommend little ceramic heaters. Wouldn't leave those unattended, but we've ran our furnace, I think, twice since this cold snap. We've run pretty much just the ceramic heaters in here, and it's kept it right around 61, 62 degrees, and that's tolerable for us. We like those temperatures, especially when you're a fat man like me. Anyhow, we're going to talk about some reflectix. I heard a lot of you guys talk about this out there. This is what this is. It comes in big rolls and little smaller rolls. This one here happens to be a 48 inch by 25 inch, so it's roughly enough to do 100 square feet. Which, in theory, this should be enough for the windows that we're going to cover here in Boomer. Also, with running the furnaces, before I get too far into this, kind of skip the step here on you. When you run in your propane furnace, because propane is a wet heat, it will make ungodly moisture inside of your motorhome. You really should open up a vent, to exhaust some of the moisture out of your RV. But if you have some drafts, it is going to suck a little bit of cold air back in from your drafty areas. So that's where the reflectix come in. But another way to battle the dampness is go get you some damp rid. Well, this is generic because this does the same job. It's got charcoal in it. Sucks the moisture out of there, and I just dropped it on the floor. And you can pick these up at like the dollar store. They're like $1. So if you got multiple places you want to put these, places you should put these, like us, we've got 54, 55 cabinets in here, something like that.
Yeah, entirely too many.
You didn't say that when we were looking for spots to put everything.
They're small cabinets.
Anyway, you got to keep, and you got to battle that moisture, guys. So those work well, and like I said, it's a fraction of the cost. I think the damp rid, the smaller one at Walmart, was like, I think $9 or $12, something like that.
Was it really?
I think so, something
wow.
like it. That's why I told you, I was like, no. I seen that someplace cheaper than that. We're going to someplace else.
Go to the dollar store.
Exactly. Be thrifty. Be smart with your money. Don't just give it to somebody just because they ask you for it.
You can also buy a dehumidifier.
Dehumidifiers, yeah, but also keep in mind, if you are going to run a dehumidifier, let me try to get this out. You also got to watch about overloading your circuits and everything else in here, especially if you're going to run some sort of electronic heat or even possibly your furnace. Now, also, even if you're not using your propane heat, any kind of heat source in this type of temperatures will create moisture on your outside walls, and if you do not battle this moisture issue, it can and will cause mold, and mold can be something to make you very sick, if not kill you.
Yep.
So take that very, very serious. So like I said, we've got several of the damp red things parked around here. Right now we're going to combat the draftiness by not letting so much of our electric heat out by covering our windows here with said reflectix.
And we're covering our door because we've noticed cold air in the door also.
Yeah, our windows really do not let a whole lot of air in. We're just going to go ahead and cover them since we bought a big roll of this. Like I said, this 48 by 25, 48 inches by 25, so it's enough to do, like I said, 100 square feet. This here we bought this at Home Depot, but you can pick this up at any hardware store, Lowe's, Menards,
Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon. But if you're closer to the store, you might as well just run and get it. Anyway, a roll like this is $39 plus tax, so 42, 43 bucks with tax, depending on where you're at. It's really worth putting on your windows to keep a little warmth in there. And also, if you are going to use propane, this will help your propane furnace run a little bit more efficient. So we're going to go ahead and start cutting into this and getting ready, so we'll show you how to install. It's real simple. So let's go. All right, so now we've taken some measurements here. We're going to get to work cutting this. Now I'm going to put my old man eyes on so I can see the tape measure here. We're going to let our lovely assistant do the installation. Miss Jill, go ahead, go for it. See, so simple a chick can do it. Oh, no, I didn't mean that. I said that out loud, didn't I? Only kidding, guys, only kidding.
Only a woman could do it right, though.
Hey, I cut that. Just remind you guys, I cut that. Doesn't that just look lovely out there? Well, there's how your door looks when you do it. What we did was we opened up the screen door and the actual man door, and we put the mounting adhesive, which is the tape, on the outside in between the screen door and the man door. Boy, you can tell a difference in that already. Oh yeah. Whew. A lot of cold comes out of them old stairwells right there. Well, so that was pretty simple to install. It wasn't very hard at all, was it? I think the hardest part about that whole situation was the measurements, and that's not that hard either. But definitely we've noticed a difference. I just put in the reflectix up. It actually brought the temperature up in here like 3 more degrees or so. Mm-hmm. So very happy, very pleased with that. So I guess that was worth 40 bucks. Yeah. Like I said, that's a pretty decent size roll. It's a 48 by 25. It's not to do 100 square feet. We've still got plenty of it left, which we're going to tackle the big front windows here. We'll probably have to go get another roll to do the front windshields here in Boomer. But the big heavy curtains that we have, because we have kind of like blackout curtains up front. They're almost like a blackout. They're still a little bit light in, but not too awful bad. So I can't believe it's been, 4 months that we've been full-timers.
Yeah, 4 months.
So 4 months. We started this journey September 1st, and it was a little nerve-wracking at first, and we were happy that we got it done, but I don't think it really set in till the next morning with what we really did.
Yeah.
The next morning when we got up was kind of like, oh, what did we just do? But I guess I don't regret the decision to go full-time, do you?
No.
Yeah. Been pretty happy with that. When we moved out of the house into the small space, now Boomer, he's 35 feet long. And we have got cabinets, storage bays, basement. We've got all kind of storage here in Old Boomer. But, you would think it was plenty enough storage. Plenty of room for everything. But once we actually started moving in and getting all of our stuff in Boomer, we realized just how much we didn't downsize enough.
I don't know if it's my mind, a woman's mind, or just that I'm crazy. But when you look at cabinets and spaces, you know, in my mind, I'm like, okay, I can put this and this and this in there. It will fit. But for some reason, when I come here, real life, it's like it doesn't fit. You know, it's kind of like, you know, decorating. You know, you always think, well, I can fit a couch and a chair and a whatever you're thinking. But once you get in here, it's like, wow, I really can't stick all that in these cabinets. So you really learn really quick. You need to downsize some more.
Now, you know, like we were saying, we come into this smaller space thinking about that, and then unfortunately we had to step out and go into a commercial truck here for about a month and a half.
Yeah.
About a month, a little over a month.
A little
And yeah, somewhere along there, I can't remember exactly. It was a blur. But it really was a big change from beforehand, because we were running around like crazy with our heads cut off like a chicken anyway, to the point where we didn't even actually have time to make videos. So we figured that we'd at least share what we were doing, because it was kind of the same thing. Because you know, trucking is really basically the original form of boondocking. Now that was definitely a learning experience for Jill. You want to shed some light about your thought process about moving into that small space after moving in from the stick and brick to a small space to an even smaller space?
It was interesting. You learn again really quick the things you need and the things you don't need. We lived off of the toaster oven and the hot plate, no running water, you know, and we actually there was 2 beds, but you know, so you
Husband
have
and wife, we sleep in one.
Yeah, you have bunk beds, and then you have like one closet, if you want to call it a closet. So you really have very minimal stuff with you. So you learn, you know,
to live a little bit more minimal than what you thought you were going to be doing by moving into the RV.
Yeah. So it's trying, but it's, you know, it's doable. You know,
Yeah, so when you think about the cramped conditions that most truck drivers go through, it makes you appreciate a little bit more about the things you actually have in your life and the extra room you do have in your RV. So thank you, trucker, for all the stuff you have. I guess that's where I was going with that.
Okay, thank you. That's what you're looking for.
So this is my wife, yeah, Miss Smarty Pants here. But yeah, that's, like I said, that's the original boondocking. When you're living that way, and these guys do this every day, day in, day out, months on end, years on end. Some of these guys never go home. Some of these guys live in a truck. That's their home. That's their residence. They might have a mailing address to keep the driver's license, kind of like an RVer does. You know, have an actual residency, basically, just to keep their legal stuff together. But you know, you learn how to do things. You know, like Jill was saying, we actually stopped and bought a toaster oven and a hot plate to put in the big truck, and you know, we had a refrigerator and stuff like that. A lot of the trucks have changed; they got refrigerators and stuff. And like when I first started driving, you didn't get any of those creature comforts like that. You had an old ice chest.
Yeah, it's not a very big fridge. I mean,
no, it's a little bit bigger than a freezer that you have in your motorhome.
In the freezer, we could stick. I don't even know how to. The freezer was like the size of what, a mailbox? Not even. I think a mailbox.
The little freezer. Some of the trucks have a little freezer. Well, you call a freezer section up top there. It's probably about the size of a loaf of bread. I think that's what I would actually.
Or one of those mailboxes on the old mailboxes that were on your house.
I don't know. I'm not that old.
Yes, you are.
Anyhow,
they still have them in cities. They're on your house, you know, with a little flip thingy. That's about the size of your freezer.
But you know, that was a trying experience for her. But I think it made her appreciate and kind of made us think a little bit more along the lines of, you know, it was a drastic downsize for us to come into Boomer, and then when we did our little downsize to go out in the truck for the little amount of time we were out there, it almost enlightened us that we could probably actually go smaller.
And we have, yeah.
And we've kind of been kicking around the idea of actually going a little smaller and being a little bit more minimal. Now, we've kind of kicked around the idea of possibly buying a full-size van that's a diesel, 1-ton, that maybe somebody's already done a four-wheel drive conversion on, so I don't have to do it just because I'm lazy and I don't want to do it. Sometimes it's nicer to get it already done or almost done. That way you ain't got to go through a lot of the hard steps. Especially now that we are full-timers out here. Those kind of places for me to actually undergo that kind of process to convert a two-wheel drive van into a four-wheel drive van. That's either driveway surfing at a friend's house to try to get this done, or, you know, a lot of campgrounds do not want you taking your front end out of your van at the campground and all that good stuff. I mean, that doesn't... But anyway, that's neither here nor there. We've kind of kicked around that idea just for the simple fact, Jill says she's too old for van life. What'd you say? There's a certain age you got to be for van life. It
just seems like it's more of a younger person thing. Maybe it's as you get older, you think you should have better creature comforts. Then, you know, I mean, there are some really nice vans out there. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. In my mind, when I think as you get older, you get bigger and nicer things, right?
That's not a way to think about that, though.
I didn't say it was the right way. I said in my mind, so doesn't mean next
that's
week
what's been beat into our generation. I guess that's what she's trying to say.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's just the way I'm...
Like I said, we kicked around the idea of having the van to do that. That way we could kind of leave our travel trailer, you know, at like a campground or out on BLM land someplace, and we can actually go further out into the bush or out in the trail. And if we wanted to, you know, kind of camp out and stay there instead of running right back to the base camp, so to speak, you know, had a place to sleep, because, you know, you can do a lot of these things. You can split the little small refrigerator. You can pretty much wire that thing up like an RV if you know what you're doing. And, you know, mount you a little small generator and a lot of things that they already do on like the Class B vans and the Chinooks and things like that out there, which that, in my personal, would be to find a Chinook and convert that to four-wheel drive and then pull a travel trailer. That's my idea. Would be very cool because, you know, and since we still own Buster, that's the thoughts kind of crossed my mind, because
yeah, we've thought
it's already a turbo diesel. Only thing I got to do, they sell the kit for that particular vehicle to do the whole conversion kit for the 7.3 diesel and get the four-wheel drive transfer case, but it's not cheap, and it's an idea I've kicked around. But the other thing about the van is, you know, if you decide you're going to boondock someplace like Walmart or something like that overnight, and you just don't want to get out and go set up your camper, especially if you got slides and you can't get through everything in there. You know what? If you're just going to be there overnight, just, you know, van life at that night, you know, just spend the night in the old van. You know, you got your bed built in there. You got your little stove, some running water, you know, a little small water source. You know, just minimal stuff inside your van. I think that would be a good way to go if we were to downsize. That way it wouldn't be an abrupt something that small. But, you know, that's possibly a good way to think about. We've kicked around that idea, but at the same time, we already have a pickup truck, 2010, and, you know, trucks are just stupid expensive. You know, depending on what you got. In our truck, it's got more stuff than we need. It's, for crying out loud, it's got heated washer fluid, heated elements in the headlights. And it's got dual power slide, heated seats, and, you know, reclining seats in this thing. There's just way too much stuff in this truck than really ever needed. It was like, you know, $75,000-$80,000 truck back when it was new.
It doesn't have autopilot.
Yeah, it doesn't have autopilot. I still have to drive it. But, you know, we kind of kicked around the idea of going to a fifth wheel. Our truck will pull a fifth wheel, but, you know, it is a gas motor in our truck. I think if you're going to be pulling a fifth wheel around all the time, you would probably want a diesel to do that. Just because our truck is getting older, and I just don't justify spending $75,000, $80,000 on a good fifth wheel. I mean, I know you can buy them cheaper than that, guys, but some of the ones that we've looked at spend about those kind of prices. And you know, and we're going to spend another $80,000, $90,000 on a pickup truck, you know, just for being a diesel, to, you know, have the ability to get the upgrades and a little bit better fuel mileage and, you know, beefing up your gas engine, which, you know, I'm all about beating up the gas engine, bigger cams and all that stuff, tricking the heads. But, you know, that also makes your fuel mileage, give you all kind of power, but there goes your fuel gauge. But we're going down a rabbit hole here, and this is not a car channel.
Thank goodness.
I mean, this is something we've kind of kicked around, the idea that we could go smaller. And I think a lot of people out there now, once you've bought your rig and you think that's it,
yeah,
you could almost think about trading out of that rig and going into something different.
Yeah, it would be an interesting research. I mean, I wouldn't go and research it, but, you know, in my mind, it'd be interesting to know how many people, like, and how long after you buy it and how long you've lived in it, when you decide to switch. Like, how many people keep their same rig, how many people switch, and how often they switch into a different type, or, you know, from a motorhome to a fifth wheel, or a motorhome to a trailer to a van, you know.
Yeah. Boomer, it's a great motorhome. I mean, we've liked Boomer since the day that we actually found him. On our way back from Camping World, looking at one, and there was nowhere near in as nice a shape as Boomer was, and I think they wanted $5,000 or $6,000 more than what we paid for Boomer.
Yeah, it had the mauve color in it. You know, the typical 80s, 90s mauve.
But we just on a whim looked on Craigslist, and you gotta beware on Craigslist. But just so happens we got very lucky when we found Boomer. He was the people we bought it off of was the second owner, and they had Boomer for 14 years, and they bought it from the original owner. And both owners prior to us have taken impeccable care of Boomer, so I think Boomer has just been a pretty good unit all around. And like I said, we like Boomer. I don't foresee us, you know, running out tomorrow and getting rid of Boomer. That's for sure.
No.
Miss Jill would just like a little bit more floor space, just so she's not getting in traffic jam bumper to bumper with a dog. So.
It'd just be nice to have a little more.
But like I said, we appreciate you guys hanging with us to the little truck adventure. And as of right now, that truck adventure is out. We're not going to be doing that anytime soon again, God willing. But we want to thank you guys 100%. Hope you guys have a great holiday out there. All right, guys. Till next time, this is Tony and Jill saying get out there and adventure more. It's your life. What are you waiting for?